guys, have you ever seen these beautiful Bruce Lee collectible books before? If not, stay tuned, they're coming right up. Hey guys, welcome back. Charles Damiano here from the Bruce Lee Collection for another exciting episode. And on this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you some Bruce Lee Collection catalog books that I put together over 20 years ago, and I think you're going to find this a lot of fun. But before I show you what these beautiful Bruce Lee Collection catalog books are all about, and I put together quite a few over the years. I put together 8 in total over a 5-year period, and they're simply amazing. And today I'm going to go over with you the first 4 that I put out, and then I'm going to review the second 4 in another episode. But let's get into the first 4. And before I begin, I'd like to tell you how these catalog books came about, because it's a really great story. So back in 1999, over 20 years ago, closer to 25 years ago, I had a lot of pen pals and a lot of Bruce Lee fans and collectors around the world who would write into me. And I met them through my website. I had a website called the Bruce Lee Collection website. I still have it up to this day. And people used to discover me through the website, searching for Bruce Lee Collectibles that they wanted to add to their collection. And I would always get a lot of people writing into me, because back in the day, or emailing me, you didn't have social media, eBay was just coming into its own, and the only way you connected with people was through a pen pal or through an email here and there. So as fans and collectors would email me, they would always ask me one question. They would ask me, do you have a way I can see your entire collection? Now that would have been almost impossible to put together at the time, because I had over 5,000 items on Bruce Lee in my collection. Everything from posters, magazines, books, slides, lobby cards, press kits, movie posters, 8mm film, 16mm film, items on Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee, autographs, and the list goes on and on. So I never was able to share the collection with people. So I would always ask them, well, what collectibles are you looking for? What would you like to add to your collection? And they would always say instead, I'm not quite sure. I know I'm looking for a few things, but if I've seen them, I'll know I want to pick it up. So what I decided to do is I put together these catalog books, which were exhausting to put together because it took me months. Back in the day, I had to invest in a scanner. I had to scan each Bruce Lee collectible that I was going to display in the catalog books on the scanner bed. It would scan it into my computer, and then I had to learn how to put these catalogs together. And fortunately at the time, there was another Bruce Lee collector by the name of Brad Walker. He was a big collector back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and he came out with a catalog book or two, and I looked at his, and I kind of modeled what he did on his catalog books, and it gave me the inspiration to put together my own. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to put together really high quality books that people could see the collectibles in full color, in really clear pictures. So I made sure that I did the books in high quality fashion, and I had a printer friend at the time who was able to print them for me. He owned a printing company, and I said, hey Jeff, do you mind if I get you these catalog books, which I'm working on now? Would you be able to print them, and how much would they be? And they were quite costly back in the day, because printing 25 years ago was a lot more expensive than it is today. So basically what I wanted to do is more or less cover the cost for the catalogs and what I would charge for the catalog. So I was putting these catalog books out and maybe charging anywhere from $20 to $25 depending on how extensive the catalog was. So for instance, this one's about 25 pages. It also came with a price guide, and the reason I did that back in the day is because I had a lot of doubles of collectibles that I was looking to sell, and hoped that I would sell those and then maybe pick up something that I wanted to add to my collection, or we could do a trade. So I would trade off some of my doubles, they would see the value of them, and then I would ask them if they wanted to trade that collectible that they were interested in for a collectible that I was interested in. And so it was a lot of fun in the process, but the catalogs took months and months and months to put together, and over a 5-year period, I think I was able to put out 8 catalogs from 2000 all the way through 2004. It was a 5-year period, and like I said, each catalog took quite a bit of time to put together. So, and then what I also did in these catalogs, and I'll review a few of them with you in a second, is I put the collectibles in what I considered somewhat of a chronological order from when they came out. So my first catalog book starts with collectibles that are from the 60s, Green Hornet items, early issues of Fighting Stars that came out in the early 70s, which I just loved. And then, you know, after that I went to some original autographs that I had on Bruce Lee. And what I tried to do is put them in the order that they came out, so if people were looking to pick up the items and also complete their collection, they knew exactly how the collectibles looked, the order they came out in, and it was easy way for them to discover the items they needed to add to their collection. So it was a lot of fun putting these together, and I'll show you pictures of these along the way so you get an idea of what these beautiful catalog books look like. I then also showed some early Mexican Bruce Lee magazines that came out from Mexico. I focused on a lot of the early Chinese magazines that I picked up from Chinatown, both Golden Movie News and a lot of the rare and obscure Chinese magazines that I would pick up in New York City, Chinatown as a kid. And then when the JKD Club magazines came out in the mid 70s, I added them to the catalogs as well, and I just love that collection of both magazines and poster magazines that they came out with at the time. And then they had fun things like sticker sets, and they also had keychains and flip books, and they put out some of the best Bruce Lee items back in the day. And then I ended with some Kung Fu Monthly poster magazines, and then I also put in the Tommy K Big Book of Karate magazines, and some more paperbacks that came out by Linda Lee, Alex Ben Block at the time, the whole series of The Power of Bruce Lee at the time, and a bunch of other fun collectibles that I put out in this catalog book. And I would always put a really nice front cover on the book. I would try to do a really nice back cover, and same with the price guide at the time. Before I got into these catalogs, I wasn't sure how I wanted to coordinate them, so I would print an additional catalog price guide that would go along with the catalog book, which I learned later on that it would have probably been easier just to add the price guide into the one magazine, which I did in future issues. But anyway, I know that was kind of a long story just to kind of review catalog book number 1 with you, but the reason I was inspired to put these catalog books of mine in an episode is my friend Hector Martinez texted me the other day, and he goes, "Charles, man, I just found these rare Bruce Lee items that a Japanese collector is selling out of Japan, and I might pick them up. Do you mind if I text you what they are and you can let me know what they are?" So I'm waiting anxiously at my phone for him to text me, and finally the text comes through, and I look at the text and I start cracking up because it's 3 of my catalog books that a Japanese collector probably purchased from me 25 years ago, and he was selling 3 catalog books for $275, and I was like, oh man, these items have become collectibles. And me and my friend Hector started laughing because he said, "Hey Charlie, your catalog books became collector's items now amongst the Bruce Lee community." So that kind of inspired me to come up with an episode on my catalog books, because a lot of you may have not known that I put these out 20 years ago. A lot of you may have not known that I put out 8 catalog books over the course of a 5-year period, and I thought it would be fun to show you them and to see if you picked these up back in the day and if you still have them in your collection. And if so, please leave it in the comments, comment below. Let me know if you picked up some of these catalog books from back in the day. I'd love to hear from you guys. So let me just go over with you now catalog book number 2. So this is how I put it together. I still was putting out a price guide in addition to the catalog, which it was very costly at the time. And I believe this one features, this is catalog book number 2. I put it out in January of 2001. It's called the Bruce Lee Collection catalog book number 2. And this is the beautiful price guide that came along with it. I would always put a nice front cover and a really nice back cover. As you could see, he got a picture of Bruce Lee from Return of the Dragon on the back and front of the price guide. And this is what you received when you got this, and I believe I was selling this for, at the time, probably for $20, maybe $25 for the book, because again, it was a very high quality book. This one was a little bigger than the first one. It was over 25 pages. It showed over 350 Bruce Lee collectibles in full color, and again, I categorized them into groups that you can easily see what each collection consists of. So in this book, I had a lot of collectibles again from the 70s, and I tried to work my way up to the 80s, 90s, and current. So I would also, in the beginning of the catalogs, put a picture of me and all the first generation Bruce Lee students that I met along the way on my Bruce Lee journey, pictures of me and Shannon Lee and Linda Lee that I met at the Bruce Lee memorial banquets that they used to run back in the early 90s to mid 90s. So just to give people a background of me and who I was and how my Bruce Lee journey started. And in this magazine, I started out with the Bruce Lee. I don't know if you guys remember this. If you did, chime in. These are the Bruce Lee collectibles from the early 70s and 80s, and these were the CB magazines that came out of Hong Kong, I believe from the Hong Kong Bruce Lee Club at the time, and I love these. I used to order these from Hong Kong as a kid, and I would wait anxiously in the mail for them to get to me in the early 70s. When they would arrive, I would check my mailbox. So that's how I start this catalog out, with all the CB series magazines, and then I move over to the KC series magazines that were also put out from Hong Kong back in the day, and they were just incredible. And I have the complete collections of both the CB magazines as well as the KC magazines, which are just simply beautiful. And then I went on to show other Bruce Lee Hong Kong magazines and Chinese magazines that came out back in the day, again, that I picked up mostly from Chinatown as a kid, and I would take the red bus all the way to New York City, Chinatown. I lived on the Lower East Side at the time, and it was a fun way to occupy my Sundays and come back home with a bag of Bruce Lee goodies that I would love flipping through at the time. And a lot of them were pretty rare Chinese magazines that were coming in from Hong Kong and China at the time. So still have those as part of my collection. And then I went over to showing some Japanese magazines that came out at the time, both the Screen Jumbo Now magazines and Young Idol Now magazines that came out of Japan, and they were always known for putting out really quality magazines. So you'll see a bunch of those in this magazine as well. And then I showed Japanese books, press books that came out at the time on Bruce Lee, and then I coordinated books that came out of France and London. I show in here all the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu magazines. Then I went over to Black Belt magazines, showing some of the early issues of the 67 magazine that he was on, and the 1971 issue that he was on, and a bunch of other Black Belt magazines. And I used to collect mostly the cover issues with him on the cover, and I show you all of them in chronological order. So really, really fun collectible books to go through. And then I put my Karate Illustrated, my Inside Kung Fu magazines, my US Bruce Lee books that I picked up along the way, and then various other magazines and one-offs that I collected. I also put in here in this catalog book all my movie posters that came out on Bruce Lee, of all his movies at the time, all my lobby card sets, all my press kits, and the list goes on and on. And then I also had lobby card sets from Britain, from Hong Kong, from the United States, and I show those in here as well. And then I end with various records on Bruce Lee, various albums on Bruce Lee, and I think that you will just love flipping through this catalog book number 2. It was pretty extensive when I put this together. Super 8mm films, Bruce Lee flyers, more Green Hornet trading cards, signatures that I obtained on Bruce Lee, both in the form of credit card receipts as well as a beautiful signature that I picked up from Gotta Have It here in Manhattan, New York, back in the day, many years ago, and I was displaying these in these catalog books as well. So this is a very extensive book, has a great front cover, a great back cover, a great inside cover, a great inside back cover. I always wanted to make these catalog books top-notch, first class. Same with the price guide, beautiful cover and back cover on the price guides. And fortunately, I actually still have a handful of these available. I used to print these in very limited quantity when I was printing them, maybe 50 at a time. This one I believe I did maybe 100, and I, believe it or not, have about 4 to 5 left. If you guys like to pick this up, I'm selling them at a very reasonable price, and you could pick it up. Just email me at cdbrlee@aol.com and we could discuss the details on picking up this catalog book and adding it to your collection and flipping through it and discovering all the different collectibles that came out on Bruce Lee back in the 60s and 70s. So that was catalog book number 2. Wow, these are pretty intense. And then I wanted to make catalog book number 3 even bigger and better than the first 2. And I was going through my collectibles, and I just had so many more collectibles that I could share with fans and collectors around the world. And this catalog book ended up being 75 pages in total. It was very, very thick. It had a great back cover of Bruce Lee from the Game of Death. Same on the front cover, and along the way I learned that I should include the price guides within the catalogs, which made them a little easier to print. And when you got it, you got everything in one catalog book, which made it really fun to flip through. And then you would basically, if you wanted to look up an item, you can see the price guide in the back of the catalog book. So again, put a beautiful inside cover in the books. I also did that on the back cover, a beautiful shot here of Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon with the finger gloves on. And in catalog book number 3, like I said, it's over 75 pages, and it shows over 700 of my Bruce Lee collectibles in this catalog. It was the biggest and thickest book I put out. It came out in summer of 2001, and it was called catalog book number 3, the Bruce Lee Collection, which was my website at the time, and it was a way for me to share collectibles with other fans and collectors around the world. And at this point, my pen pal base was becoming very large, and we were going back and forth with trades and sales of items, and that's how I got most of my collectibles back in the day, besides the different memorabilia houses like Jerry Ollinger's Movie Star News, obviously eBay, Chinatown. I did a lot of trading with other fans around the world at that time. And in this magazine, I start out with some beautiful Bruce Lee Kung Fu poster magazines from London. And this was really great to put together because I show all 79 issues in here at the time, so you can flip through it and you'll see it from issue number 1 all the way to issue number 79, how beautiful those were when they came out, and I'm fortunate to have that entire collection. And then I continued on to London magazines that I picked up from London, 2 pages of that you'll see, some more beautiful magazines from France, some Bruce Lee comics that I had. And again, some of these now started coming out in the 70s to early 80s, and those are the items that I show mostly in this magazine. And again, the great thing about these catalog books is that I tried to organize them according to category. So I put all the Bruce Lee comics together, I put all my Greek magazines together so you could see what those look like. Magazines that I picked up from Italy, I will put all those together so you could see what those look like. And it was a nice way to flip through the magazine, have some fun looking looking at these collectibles in full color and also seeing which ones you may want to pick up or add to your collection, and you would simply coordinate whatever the number was that you were looking for. So in instance, this Japanese book up here is number C168. You would simply go to the catalog price guide in the back, and you would look up item number 168, and it would give you a description of that item, the price of the item, the condition that it's in, and these became a great reference or resource guide for collectors around the world to actually reference and see the type of collectibles that were put out back in the day. So I had a lot of fun with these books. A lot of Japanese books I included in them. These are great because they were the highest quality books that came out on Bruce Lee, and they were very, very extensive and done up really nice. And then I go on to show more of my black belt magazines that Bruce Lee appeared on the cover on, all the Bruce Lee Heather Holmberg catalogs that came out when we were seeing the Bruce Lee auctions take place back in the early 90s. I show those. Inside Kung Fu magazines that Bruce Lee was featured on the cover, Inside Karate magazines, Masters of Kung Fu magazines, Inside Kung Fu Presents magazines, Martial Arts Legends magazines, International Karate magazines. And again, this catalog book is really extensive because, like I said, it's over 75 pages. It shows close to 800 different Bruce Lee collectibles, all the JKD Bruce Lee Nucleus magazines, as well as the newsletters that were put out. And these were great items that came out at the time. And John Little, the Bruce Lee historian who put out A Warrior's Journey, was involved in putting these together. And he did some great quality magazines, which are very hard to come by these days. I still have a few available of the Bruce Lee JKD Nucleus magazines, and I still have the whole JKD Nucleus newsletter magazines, but I only have one of each of those. But if you want to pick up some of the Nucleus magazines, I do have a few. You can always email me again at cdbrlee@aol.com, and I can let you know which ones I have available if you want to add them to your collection. And then I show more Bruce Lee magazines from around the world, and then I get into different Bruce Lee records and more albums that I picked up on Bruce Lee, both in Japan, the United States. Lots of vinyl came out on Bruce Lee, and as we know, Hector Martinez, one of my good Bruce Lee friends and brothers, has one of the biggest Bruce Lee vinyl collection that I've ever seen. And if you want to capture some of those episodes, I actually interviewed him, and he showed hundreds of his records and albums that he has on Bruce Lee, and I'll leave a link up above, and you can watch that episode if you missed it, and I think you'll find it fascinating. And then I go and show some Bruce Lee laser discs, Bruce Lee postcards, Bruce Lee books, Bruce Lee calendars, Bruce Lee posters, Bruce Lee stamp sets, and the list goes on. And I even show some lobby card sets from Germany, from Spain, that were put out on Bruce Lee. And as we know, lobby card sets are these 11 by 14 beautiful color lobby cards that they used in front of the movie theaters back in the day when these movies came out. And then I go into showing some Bruce Lee audio tapes, DVDs, videos that I picked up along the way, and the list goes on. And then I end with some Bruce Lee toys and figures that were put out in the 80s and 90s, which I think you'll find a lot of fun. And then I even added a section of Brandon Lee memorabilia, magazines, books, movie posters, and a bunch of other items on Brandon Lee that were coming out in the mid-90s as well. So things from The Crow, more videos, and then you get into the price guide. So again, guys, this is catalog book number 3. I do have some of these available still as well. If you like to pick this up and haven't added this to your collection, it's probably one of the best catalog books that you're ever gonna pick up. Like I said, it's about 75 pages. I have a bunch left. I could sell them at a very reasonable price. Email me at cdbrlee@aol.com, and we could discuss the details of catalog book number 3, which I still have available. And getting to the last one is catalog book number 4. I put this out in spring of 2003. It shows Bruce Lee and Bolo on the cover from Enter the Dragon, and then I have a bunch of rare Bruce Lee images on the back of this catalog book, which is simply beautiful. And again, what I used to do back in the day when I was selling these catalogs so collectors could see what I had is I would always include a little postcard, and I still have the postcard in this catalog book, and it was a picture of Bruce Lee in the mirror room from Enter the Dragon holding out his sidekick, and it would be like a little bonus item that I would add into the catalog book. So catalog book number 4, I'll flip through this and show you some pictures along the way on this book. It's probably around 30 pages. It shows about 300 items from my collection, and it starts getting more into collectibles from the 80s and 90s, and I organize these starting out with Bruce Lee magazines from Argentina is what I start this catalog out with. And again, I put them in order of when they came out. You'll see the dates, the condition that they're in, and it makes it easy to see which ones you may want to pick up. And then I move to Bruce Lee Argentina magazines, as well as magazines that came out on Bruce Lee from Lima, Peru. So I show some of those in this catalog book. And then we move over to various Bruce Lee magazines, miscellaneous that I picked up from around the world, Japanese Bruce Lee magazines and books that I didn't feature in my first 3 catalogs, and I show those in here as well. And then if you continue to flip through, you'll see more Bruce Lee postcard sets, Bruce Lee playing cards, and Bruce Lee flyers, Bruce Lee pins and buttons that I collected along the way. Man, this was fun putting together. I just love flipping through these now and looking at all the collectibles that I still have as part of my collection. Some I did sell off along the way. Some I have new stuff that I now added to my collection, but I show all the Bruce Lee DVDs and videos that I have in my collection, which I still have to this day, that I picked up in my Bruce Lee journey. And then I get into 4x6 photos on Bruce Lee, 8x10 photos on Bruce Lee, and then I get into some Brandon Lee card sets that came out from The Crow at the time, and we get into a whole section of Brandon Lee items, trading cards, and then more items. I end with 4C's Weekly magazines, more DVDs on Bruce Lee. So I think you'll find it fun flipping through these catalog books. That's the first 4. Again, this one was put out in 2003. I don't have any more of these available that were printed, but if you like to pick one up, I can probably make one for you. It will take a couple of weeks for me to put together. It is catalog book number 4. If you want to add this to your collection, not sure if you know that over the years I put out these 8 catalog books. These are the first 4. They were a lot of fun. They were a passion of love for me at the time when I put these together. And that's going to be it for this episode. On the next episode, I'm going to show you the last 4 catalog books that I put together. This is catalog book number 5, and then I put together a book of Bruce Lee photos that I have in my collection, so it's more of a photo book of all my beautiful black and white 8x10 photos. And then I put a Bruce Lee collection photo book together from Enter the Dragon of all my Enter the Dragon photos in black and white. And then I put another catalog book together showing collectors and fans around the world my color Bruce Lee photos from all his films. And again, these are all about 25 to 30 pages in total. They show about 200 to 300 items in them. So stay tuned for part 2 of these beautiful Bruce Lee collection catalog books. And again, if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button below, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, Charles Damiano signing out saying, have fun collecting, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys.